My name is Patrick Hartman. I am the Farm Food Safety Coordinator at True Blue Farms. We specialize in growing blueberries in southwest Michigan, both frozen and fresh.
And how long have you guys been farming?
Wow. Well, about 4 generations now. Actually, I'm the 4th generation. My kids, who are just in school now, they're 5th generation. So since probably about 1944, we've been in blueberries here in Michigan. True Blue Farms has been around for just over 25 years now.
Okay, Patrick, can you just tell us what audits you are certified in, how you selected those audits or how they were selected for you, and how long have you been certified in those audits?
Okay, yeah, we're certified in both the Primus Labs certification and the AIB International audit in the packing facility. Basically, those are the required audits by our customers. It's dependent on who your customers are and who you market to, and what their preference is, what audit firms that they work with and require or request of us. In the past, we've worked with USDA audit. We also have a few independent auditors that come in by request of specific customers. So it's all based on customers. As far as duration of time, well, we've had a food safety program at True Blue Farms for over 25 years. Pretty much since inception.
Yeah, how many of those years have you been Primus certified in AIB?
Actually, AIB for over a dozen years now. Primus, we switched over to Primus exclusively this year. In the past, we've worked with a combination of both Primus, third party, and USDA food safety audits. But this year, based on our customer requests and requirements on the farm for the GAP program, we work with Primus Labs.
Okay. We'll just go on the next set of questions. Is how did you get started putting together your audit? Your food safety plan, and what was the baseline you did? And if you had to do it differently, what would you do differently now that might help someone in the future put together their plan?
Well, several years ago, Michigan State University came out with a basic template for the GAP program on the farm for good agricultural practices, and that's kind of where we started. We used that template to tailor it to our specific operation and our production of blueberries, basically our commodity, which varies from commodity to commodity, and it's kind of evolved since then. Initially, it took us about a good few weeks. I'm going to estimate about 100 hours to take that basic program and tailor it to our operation. After that, we spend about 30 hours a year updating that. And that's just the paperwork and documentation portion of our food safety program. The actual implementation time and improvements that we spend is in addition to those hours.
Sure. What would you do differently if you had to start it all over again?
Well, we would have started sooner and given myself more time to prepare for both the paperwork and the implementation aspect of our program. Mother Nature doesn't wait for us, so prior to the season, it's always a busy time, and the more things that you have in place ahead of time during the off season, the better prepared you are going into the season to have a good food safety program in place, as well as the training required.
What do you think is the hardest part of your whole food safety plan?
That's a good question. There's several different unique aspects to any plan or program, but the important thing I think to keep in mind are the basics. And there's three primary elements to a GAP program that we try to stay focused on. And sometimes that's the challenging part, is to not get lost in the weeds, but stay focused on water quality, your spray program, and health and hygiene aspects of the food safety program, and then focus on the largest, the highest risks, and work from there. It's real easy to kind of get sidetracked and lose focus of what the food safety program really is all about, and that's to mitigate the risk of contamination to your food supply during production and packing. And it's really what it's all about, is doing the best job consistently to provide a safe food product.
Okay. Next question is how many hours are spent on training your employees? I guess with you might have to break it down, your farm employees,
yeah,
and then your packing employees, and if you can also separate between your worker protection standard training compared to your food safety training.
Yeah. I guess on average, I think we spend approximately 10 hours per employee every year, depending on their job description, training on food safety. In the packing facility, we spend a little bit longer and probably more regularly. But then on the farm aspect, we spend a few hours every year training on the worker protection standards, and where they're going to be more exposed to some of the spray materials that we apply in the production of our fruit.
Okay, good. Now, the final question is, if you did not have a food safety certification or an audit plan or plan, would you still have the same markets that you have today, or wouldn't you?
No. In order to be a producer of commercially produced fruit and vegetables in today's agricultural world, the food safety program is a necessity, as well as a third-party audit to be able to market and your product successfully, both locally and globally. And but more than that, it's the right thing to do. It ensures that you're doing your due diligence to provide your customers with the safest, best quality food available. And that's what it all is about. It's about the end user and taking pride in what we do. At True Blue Farms, we produce the safest, best quality, best tasting fruit in the world, and in the end, our toughest customers with the highest standards are actually our own family, because the food that we produce, we feed to my own children, and I take pride in that, and seeing them come out to the field, or even throughout the rest of the season when we bring our produce out, put it on the dinner table. I know that they're eating not only the healthiest fruit and food available, but the safest. And I take pride in that, and it's the same for all the fruit and produce that we produce at True Blue Farms.
Great. There's one question I'm going to ask you too is, I know you've talked about your plan and everything, but where did you find most of your resource material to put together your plan?
Yeah, we actually accessed information from across the board. MSU was a good starting point because they have a lot of resources available in our area, Michigan State University, and they had a good template to begin several years ago. More recently, each commodity group including USHBC for blueberries, has produced a GAP program kind of tailored to their industry, and that's a little more helpful, it's a little more streamlined, and a little more user-friendly depending on your commodity that you're producing. In addition to that, there's been some good information put out by Purdue, some of the other universities, as well as the USDA websites, and a lot of information from the leafy greens industry. They were kind of some of the first producers of produce to really take a serious look at food safety and water quality in their operations, and so it's a good place to start as well.